Yeah, there is a difference.
Basically, it takes a habituation.
Here, I'm going to give these out again. Share with your partner. 2 or 3 of you to every one. That's not enough for everybody, so, right? In the middle piece is the Menorah Psalm, Psalm 67. I sent out an email to most of you, I think, with a little commentary on it and what it means and how special it is. To meditate that it's 7 branches into a 7-fold world. The idea of 6 and 7 is very important. 6 is the 6 directions. It's a 3-dimensional world we live in. The 7 is the point of the soul, the nucleus within the 6. And the name of Hashem above it is the level of 8, 9, and 10, is the level that flows into the 7. So you become a menorah. You're asking for that light to come into the world and to become that conduit for that light. La menatzeach. The menatzeach means to the choir master, to the symphony orchestra leader, the menatzeach, who is nothing less than the master of the world, the true master of all the symphony of creation. So it's not just a kind of a human symphony, it's the world symphony. When King David needed to connect to Hashem and felt that the world was closing in on him and he was being constricted and he wanted to break out and he wanted to connect. So he called Hashem 55 times the Menatzeach, the maestro, the one who's really in charge of the symphony. Lam Natseach, Mizmor ben Ginod, Mizmor Shir, Elohim Yechonenu, Vivarechenu, Yael Panav Itanu Sela. V'da'at ba'aretz darkecha v'chol goyim yeshuatecha Yuducha amim Elohim Yuducha amim kulam Yismechu v'yiranenu le'umim ki tishpot amim mishor u'le'umim ba'aretz tanchem selah Yoducha amin Elohim יודוך עמים כולם, ארץ מתנה יבולה, יברכנו אלוהים אלוהינו, יברכנו אלוהים ויראו אותו כל נפשי הארץ. Na 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 It's pretty comfortable in here for me. Yeah. How's it for you?
Okay. A little bit cold.
Yeah. Well, we can give you a shawl. We actually have some.
Anyone who's cold, we have shawls and
even for men, wraps.
Yeah.
Wrap you up.
Yeah.
Do we have one?
Abraham's cold.
I think this is.
No?
Yeah, I'll give you one. Yeah.
What temperature is it on?
Okay.
What temperature is it on?
Oh, it's 24.
No, I got one the other day.
I just want to say that it's a little bit hard to hear because the air conditioner's there, so if you would just be
Project.
conscious of
I'll
that.
project. Okay. This is for Daniel. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. So this course, for those of you who haven't been here, you got it after a 2-minute intro. You haven't been here, right?
I was here 2 weeks ago.
Ah. See. So you can just kind of absorb the whole thing, and you'll understand everything we say even more than we do. So we started with the creation of the world. It was a process of coming down from infiniteness to create a finite world. Not an easy process, even for the creator of the world, who has to hide in his world. The word Ein Sof, or the two words Ein Sof, he who is without end, meaning he is also without beginning. It is that which we don't have any grasp of. It's beyond any kelim, any categories that we have. The Ein Sof is a gematria 207. The word Adon Olam, the two words Adon Olam, master of the world, and in a hidden way, the master of the world who hides within his world is the same gematria 207. So the one who is above the world and who transcends the world and who in the presence of whose light the world is not, is the same one who is the master of the world who hides in his world. He's like the movie maker who enters into a few scenes of his own movie and walks through, and nobody knows. And then the word or, the word light, is 207, and the word raz is 207. So you have four things that are 207, and I don't know what 207 means, but I know from these four, I know that the mystery of light in physics, right? The raz of or, the mystery of light in physics, parallels the mystery of how Ein Sof is the Adon Olam in metaphysics. How the master of the world is really the infinite one in whose presence there's no world. How he hides himself and constricts his light in order to create the possibility of a world. And the world in Hebrew, Olam, is that which applies to space. Olam is a world. Olam is also le'olam ba'ed, it's infiniteness, it's eternity. So it's time and space, it's space-time. So the one who created space-time is the one who's above space-time. Space-time cannot create itself. So we don't like to say we have proofs of God, but it's impossible that there wouldn't be somebody who made this thing and made us in it. And so we went through the process, the midrashic process, based on the verses in the first chapter of Genesis of how the Ein Sof brought the world into existence, with the purpose being that the world would be, at least this world, this earth world, this one little speck of dust, and all of the galaxies would be a place where our souls would come. And we would play out a drama that the Ein Sof had already played out from beginning to end. And yet he would withhold his or its knowledge and would not let us know about what it was all about. And we'd have to live through the drama and create the drama as we live through it. And the main kind of, using a physics model, but for a metaphysical reality, the main word we used, the main two words again, were or with an aleph is light. How that coalesced into or with an ein, which is literally skin, literally hide. That which the hide of an animal is called or with an ein. And then a little bit of poetic liberty. It's energy becoming mass, its spirit becoming matter, its soul becoming body. So that process is what the Kabbalah speaks about. And even in ancient texts, before the word Kabbalah, there were the prophets, and then the midrashim of the sages, all of which are consistent that there was a downward process in order to create a world wherein Hashem, the Infinite One, would be hidden. And then he gave us a Torah on Sinai. And even before that, he gave us prophetic connection through Adam, and then later through Hanoch and through Noach, and then later through Noach's son, Shem, Melchizedek, and then Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. They didn't make anything up. They received the vertical transmission that Hashem gave to Adam, and then it's accumulated through history, the horizontal, the transmission of the personal experience of prophecy that every prophet had, and then they gave it over to the next generation, and then that next generation had its own vertical, personal experience of God, and then that accumulated more and more to this day, even though there's no explicit prophecy, but each one of us receives the horizontal transmission, and also each one of us is allowed to come into our personal relationship with God. And it's embodied in the expression that we have throughout our prayers called Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotinu, our God and God of our fathers. Elohai v'Elohei Avotai, my God and my God and the God of my ancestors. And so when you think about it, the God of my ancestors came first, obviously. It's not chronological here, but it's important that it teaches us that you, each one of us, you and I and all of us, each one of us have to have a personal vertical experience of God, and then the horizontal transmission that comes down to us through the ages becomes meaningful. It becomes not just a bunch of stories. It becomes, oh my goodness, they went through so much to become who they were. They worked so hard. Their lives were not easy, but they became masters of the physical plane. They connected interdimensionally. And therefore we too can. That is, even though explicit prophecy is not active right now, but our personal connection is. You can see it in the events of your life. You do the book report of your life. Where was I born? What was my family like? The family matrix, my siblings and my teachers, the schools, the experiences that I had that formed me and made me who I am. Is that who I am? Or are those really just pearls on a necklace and I'm the string? And I got to get beneath or below or somehow inside of that stuff to know who I am. And in a paradoxical sense, I came into this world in order to know myself in a way that I could not know myself in heaven. But the more experiences that I had, the less I knew myself. because I knew myself through my mother's eyes and through my father's eyes and through my friends' eyes and my brothers and my sisters, and oh my goodness, like, who am I? I also, interestingly enough, I recommend when you want to hear yourself to close your ears. Because usually we hear ourselves from the outside also. Not only do we see ourselves from the outside, we hear ourselves from the outside. So one simple way to reconnect into, whoa, I just want to be inside myself. I deserve that. It's my birthright. Is I close my ears and I speak and I hear myself in a different way. I don't plan these introductions to these classes. That's what came out so far. But Hashem, it gives us revelations of sorts. Okay, the archetypal revelation was the revelation on Sinai. So we moved from creation, the creation process of the downward flow into physical creation to history. We moved into, there were moments of revelation when he allowed us to know that our souls come from above space-time. And so that Sinai is the whole Egyptian exodus with the 10 plagues and the deprogramming that we went through for an entire year until we realized that we had been completely not only enslaved physically, but we had been enslaved mentally. And it took us a year to come out of it. On Passover night, it was the final breakthrough. And Egypt fell away at midnight. And we were in another dimension. And as a result of that powerful experience, we left the next day physically. We were able to leave Egypt. And so we have all these holidays throughout the year, and especially Shabbat, which are super mundane. They'll lift us up above in order for us to know that this world is not all there is. And the whole purpose of bringing ore into ore, of bringing energy down to matter, is for us to transform ore with an ayin into ore with an aleph, is to bring this world back up. So that's now the final innings of that, the final stages of that is the redemption stage. So the whole year has been creation, revelation, now redemption, coming full circle to the end of the year. I don't know how many classes we have left, but it became more and more meaningful to me as we got closer to this stage and in this stage. What we've been emphasizing in the last few classes is where it's all going. I've been holding back on how we're going to get there. Because I believe in principle that it's really important for us to know where we're going. And then, in a sense, if we lock onto where we're going, and we really know where we're going, and how awesome it is, and what the prophets and the Mikubalim say about where we're going in the world, the dimensional changes that are going to happen, then it won't be as hard for us to decide right now the kind of life we want to live to get to that future. So that was the method behind behind my methodology. The madness, whatever. I'm totally mixed up. Okay, what? The method behind my madness. Okay. So who doesn't have a set?
When you speak of redemption meaning now, you don't mean like this time of the year. You mean in terms of
No, I'm talking
ages
about
and ages.
the end of history as we know it. And it's only as we know it. It's not the end. It's not the end of time. It's not the end of the world. It's the end of this world as we know it, and very important to add that on. Okay, so we've done most of these pages. You can keep them if you want. There's a lot of Hebrew on the last two pages. And what I'm going to share with you this time is the top of page 6. And then I have another set prepared, which is all in English. And the class is dedicated to first of all, to the healing of Yafa Bat Leah, and to anybody else who needs, to Shimon Ra'anan Shimon. And to yourselves, and to ourselves, and to our people, and to the world, the crazy world that we live in, that so much light is flowing into it right now. And we just have to tune into it. What? And exactly, it's the Beit HaMikdash, the building of Yerushalayim, Binyan Yerushalayim and Beit HaMikdash. Please build your Beit HaMikdash. Give us our portion in your Torah. To do your will, to fulfill the ultimate will that you had, which is behind everything that you do, in order to serve you with a complete heart. And of course, your mouths might be dry and you might be feeling the end of the fast, but in a sense, maybe if you can just really relax and breathe and accept that we're here for a short while longer before we eat, and just be in this space. It's really actually the best part of a fast is the end, because you really are mastering it. You need to eat, you want to eat, but you know that you can go a little bit longer. And the air is your water at this point. Just think what?
It's like the days before Mashiach.
The days before Mashiach. Okay. The top of page 6 are some verses that we started with last week, and then we sang the song "In My Heaven," and which I enjoyed so much. I hope you did too. And then I have this little piece of Gemara. It's a Gemara from Masechet Shabbat, 88a, based on the last verse in the first paragraph. It's actually verse 10. It's only in Hebrew. Ufiduyei Adonai Yeshuvon, and the redeemed of Hashem will return. Ubao Tzion, and they'll come to Zion. Birina, with ecstatic rejoicing or with ecstatic song. Rina is song, ecstasy. It's an ecstatic state. Rina. V'simchat olam al rasham, and they'll have eternal joy on their heads. How do you have joy in your head? It's very strange, right? The prophets speak, and you don't always know what they mean. It's simchat olam, eternal simcha upon their heads. Sasan v'simcha yasigu, they will attain sasan and simcha, happiness and joy. V'nasu yagon v'anacha, and anxiety and angst and depression and all those things will flee. Just an aside, the word yagon, agony in English, agony, right? So the word yagon is gematria 69, right? 10, 3, 6, and 50. 69. So the Ben Ish Chai brings the beginning of his book, Ben Ish Chai, that the transference from or with an aleph to or with an ayin, or with an aleph is 207, or with an ayin is 207 plus 69. So you add 69 to 207 and you get yagon. You get a fallen world. We're being told here, v'nasu yagon v'anacha. The 69 will be taken away and we'll have the or again, the 207. When Israel heard Hashem speak at Sinai, each individual received 2 crowns, one paralleling Naseh and one paralleling Nishma. When we said to Hashem, Naseh v'nishma, we will do and we will hear. The whole page deals with what's the meaning of that. We said to Hashem, we are ready to receive your Torah. We are ready to do whatever you tell us to do, because we've completely understood that you are the creator of the world, and that nobody could have done what you just did and brought us to be where we are right now. The changes of consciousness that we went through from the Exodus, through the desert, to get to Sinai, the Red Sea, etc. This was completely supernatural. We were surrounded by clouds, and they weren't just little fluffy clouds. They were electromagnetic force field. There were angelic presence around us. There was a different level of consciousness. We had a clarity. We had received the Torah on Sinai. Something had been taken away from us that stopped us for 2,000 and some odd years from perceiving reality with a capital R. Now we were connecting to that. Incredible. So we said, Naaseh v'nishma, we will do whatever you tell us. And then as time goes on, we'll understand, we'll nishma, we'll hear, and we'll understand more and more of who you are and what you are. But our initial commitment is we are willing to do whatever you tell us to do. So those paralleling those two statements on our part, we got two spiritual crowns. And the crowns have been now called in the Gemara, that they're telling us that the crowns are called Naaseh v'nishma. In the verse above, as we're going to see in a second, they're called Sasan and Simcha, joy and happiness. And they are the two crowns of light, paralleling the crowns of light that Adam had in the Garden of Eden. The crown of light that he had. Why there's two, it's interesting. We'll see in a second. When they sinned by worshiping the golden calf, 1,200,000 destroying angels descended and removed both crowns off each Jew, as it is written, from that time on, Bnei Israel divested themselves of Edyam, of their crowns, which they had received from or at Mount Horeb. So you see down, so we'll just, what did we just say? Why 1,200,000? Because that's 600,000 times 2. 600,000 is the symbolic number of souls that were at Sinai, even though there were 3 million of us, but males between 20 and 60 were 600,000, so that's the symbolic number.
Can I ask a question? What about the women?
I said the 3 million souls, there were.
Are they included, like, because they didn't participate in the Hannah Egon?
For sure.
Part of the 600,000. So do they get them and lose them, or do they just
We
never
got-
get them in the first place?
We got and we lost them collectively. There's a lot here, and it's a good question, and where Moshe comes in also, and what Moshe does every week on Shabbat, and what we're told about what a really good, he's really the first Jewish banker, is he took all of the crowns to himself to guard them until we were ready to receive them back. Okay, so it's called Ha'elef Lecha Shlomo. Shlomo is really Lamed Moshe, LeMoshe. So the Ari and the Zohar are filled with wonderful information. But for right now, to answer your question with all that it needs, it would take us away. When they sinned by worshiping the golden calf, and then we're going to get here to the fact that the tefillin that we have, and I wear 2 pairs, for instance. Not everybody does, but it's a tradition. It's a Kabbalistic tradition. Two crowns, 2 tefillin, and they're made out of calf skin. So the golden calf, right? Instead of crowns of light, we ended up with crowns of skin, and inside the parchments are made of skin. And our job is to transform them in ourselves into light. So again, just the consistency of that image of energy and matter. By worshiping the golden calf, 1,200,000 destroying angels descended and removed both crowns, etc. The verse says, from that time on, the Bnei Israel divested themselves of their crowns, which they had received at Horeb. So below on the footnote number 10, in this verse, the gematria of the word Edyam is Ein Dalet Yud Yud Mem. Ein Dalet Yud Yud Mem, which is the same gematria as the word Ein Dalet Nun, Eden. So it's the gematria 124, the same as Eden. This indicates that these crowns were the spiritual levels that had been lost by Adam and Eden. So that's the tradition that we have, that we were cleared. Our consciousness was cleared. We received something at Sinai that had been taken away from us since Eden. So it's all hinted at in the words of the Torah. Rabbi Yochanan said, Moshe was worthy, however, and he took all 1,200,000 crowns. He therefore lived 120 years. It's all like, what, you're playing with me. I mean, it's all just a numbers game, right? They make it like that. The fact that Moshe took them is alluded to in the next verse. Moshe then took the Ohel and set it up outside the camp at a distance. He called it the Ohel Moed, the meeting tent. Whoever sought Hashem would go out to the Ohel Moed outside the camp. So you need there footnote number 11. The word ohel, hal, the root, hey lamed, hal, is a word that indicates light. Rashi explains that the word ohel derives from the root hal, the source for the English halo, meaning radiant light. It thus refers to the ediyim, the crowns of light mentioned in the previous verse. Moshe's face also shone with the same light when he descended from Sinai, as the last verse in Ki Tisa attests. Bnei Yisrael saw that the skin, the or, with an ayin of Moshe's face, shone in Hebrew, karan or pnei Moshe. Karan is keren, karne or, and not crowns, not like Michelangelo misunderstood as horns. It's also a keren. Actually, it was there in 1974 on my way to Israel. But it's not horns, it's rays of light radiating from his face. Yeah.
Light is not light that we're, so here it seems to be that it's actually like a radiance, like a light, like his face shone. But when we talk about God's light and the light of the soul and all these things, it's another thing entirely.
It's the best metaphor we have, and therefore we mix metaphors. We go over the line and talk about light, spiritual light, in the same way, using what our experience of light, physical light.
Okay.
And it has some good qualities and properties to it that really lend themselves
Sure.
to be able to make
analogy.
that analogy. In Hebrew, it's called hekesh. We make a hekesh, we make an analogical jump from what we do know to that which we don't know. So analogy is a right brain process. It gives us the ability to go beyond the questioning rational mind and suspend that and say, oh, I hear, and that's why we tell parables.
But when learning mysticism, if you keep to the analogy and you don't take the attributes that it's trying to say, you're missing the whole thing.
I agree. At a certain point, it's important to bring in that all that we've been saying, we don't know what we mean.
Okay.
But that I don't know is only after we know. It's a different type of knowing than I don't know at all. I know something. I just don't know if language can really.
Correct. I
Okay.
think the Malbim says,
The Malbim.
I think he says, this goes back years now, that the light, physical light, is the only thing that is a remnant of the original Or of Hashem after Simpson without it being transformed. It's a remnant of physical, of spiritual light. I think he says this somewhere in the Master Bereshis. And then he goes through a few of the properties. I mean, the speed of light, to all intents and purposes, is infinite. Because the only thing that can travel at that speed is light. To take something physical and accelerate it to that speed would take literally, it's Einstein, an infinite amount of energy.
Right.
And then it would become I've got infinitely big or infinitely small.
Right.
And a few other analogies there. What he says, it's actually a remnant of the original ore, and it's without having been modified.
Okay.
So that sort of justifies mixing the metaphor.
Well, a lot of what we've been talking about, thank you so much. A lot of what we've been talking about is this return from or with an ayin to or with an aleph, and we're calling it the high, amplifying the frequency of physical matter and making it go faster. So finish this little piece. Reish Lakish added, Reish Lakish was Rabbi Yochanan's dearest and deepest and unbelievable friend. He married, that's right, he married Rabbi Yochanan's sister, not daughter, brother-in-law. And so, Brother Reish Lakish was the chief of the mafia. He's the archetype of Baal Tshuva. And he says, in the future, the Holy One will restore these ediyim, these crowns to us. It is thus written, the redeemed of Hashem shall return and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and happiness. In other words, he's saying the crown of joy and the crown of happiness. And that those two crowns are going to be a sign of the return to that higher level. And always when you return to a level that you were at prior, when you return to a level that you were at a prior time, you return on a higher level, because the experience that you had in the interim changes you. And now coming back to the new level, the old level again, as a new you, right? That's how it's going. We're not going backwards. When we come to Eden, we're not going to go back to Eden, even though it's a nice name of a book, Back to Eden. But we're going to go, pass that over. We're going to go forward to Eden. We're going to come full circle to Eden, but we're going to be different. It's also a lech lecha concept. Go to yourself. The self that you get to at the end is different, because now you've gone through all that you need to go through to know that self. Notwithstanding that every experience does hide me from myself, but at a certain point, there's a set of experiences that we begin to have which allow us to jump into truly knowing ourselves. And that's what we're all waiting for. There was actually a book written by a woman in the 60s. I forgot the name of it. It's the first time I'm mentioning it in a long time. A book about a major shift in a person's life, where all of a sudden, as opposed to my experiences taking me away from who I am, my experiences begin to be qualitatively different to bring me back to who I am. And the word back, again, is, as I'm saying, is problematic because we're not going back, but to bring me to who I am. And it's a Jungian concept also, is that when you set your dials, that you now want to move forward in your life and to know yourself as a soul and why you've come to this earth and what you need to do, you'll get an extra dose of hashgacha pratit, of divine providence in your life, which will jumpstart you to the next level. It may not be like everything will be nice, sitting on the beach and enjoying drinks. No, it might be that the bus driver just slammed the door in your face and he just went off and you said, "Hey man, you're supposed to serve the public," right? And he didn't do that. And like, why am I being left here? And all the other tens of millions of things that are happening to us, especially when you come to Yerushalayim, that are not the prettiest things. And certainly for the Jewish people. And why is it going on like this? And I didn't deserve this, and I'm a good person. And just calm down. Oh, this is the way God enters me into his Holy of Holies. Mm-hmm. Oh, stop fighting it. Right. Okay, now there's a verse. There's 3 verses in Hebrew. Again, we're on page 6, now below the English. Zephaniah chapter 3. Ke'az ehefoch el amim safa berura. I will then transform the language of the nations to a clean or clear and evolved language. Likro kulam b'shem Adonai, to call all of them in the name of Hashem. U'le'ovdo shchem echad, and to serve him as one. Very powerful verse. Isaiah 11. Lo yireyu v'lo yashchitu b'chol har kodshi. There'll be no more destruction and no more destruction, for lack of a better synonym, on all of my holy mountain. Ki male'ah ha'aretz dea et Adonai k'mayim liyam mechasim. For the world will be filled with the consciousness of God as the waters fill the sea. And then Isaiah 40, V'nigla kavod Adonai v'ra'u kol basar yachdav ki pi Adonai diber. I gave away mine. That's what I was looking for, is my notes. Mine has a square at the top around the number 1. I gave it away last week by accident. I got it back. Good. Okay, so here's a substitute for it. This is where I have some of my notes, because I didn't put everything that I wanted to be in here, but it's okay. So this verse, B'nigla kavod Hashem, the glory of Hashem, the glory of God will be revealed, and all flesh together will see that is the mouth of God that has spoken. The simple meaning is everybody will see that all the prophecies that were spoken thousands of years ago are coming true, and they'll see that everything God spoke through the prophets, they'll see with their own eyes that it's coming true. So that's what it means. And the glory of Hashem will be revealed, and all flesh will together will see that it is the mouth of God that spoke. So anyway, that's one level. The Malbim has 6 things to say about this verse. So here you have to put on your Hebrew thinking cap, and I'll lead you through it word by word, okay? It's worth it, I think. The Nigla will be revealed. Miva'er ki ha'ofa'ah ha'elohit, that the divine manifestation, or the manifestation of divinity, tit'aleh la'atid, will transcend in the future, b'shisha ma'alot, in 6 different ways, al zman ha'ava, all history that preceded it. That the messianic redemption, the manifestation of divinity, he calls it, will transcend in 6 ways. That's in 6 ways all that has preceded it, all of history. 1, Aleph. Ki ad ata, for until now, ha'hasaga ha'elohit, the ability to experience divinity or divine or godliness. Hayta me'utefet, it was enveloped, it was shrouded. Bekama libushim, in numerous garments, filters. Umesachim, in covers. Umechitsot, partitions. Anan v'arafel, cloud and thick darkness. This very, very rich words. Their associations with other things can take me in a lot of places. That Hashem in the Psalms and in different places is said to be hiding behind the darkness. Hashem ba'arafel yishkon. Hashem dwells in the thick darkness. Moshe was invited up after Shavuot, the 6th of Sivan. He was invited to come up to heaven, and he went into what the Torah calls the Arafel, the thick darkness, which later on by Eliyahu is called the whirlwind. And the Zohar describes it as a decompression chamber, where his body was just energized. It's beautiful Zohar. I have it available here. I can do it here, but I want to be careful with the time and the fact that we need to just. But if anything hits you and I don't go into it well enough, so we have phones, we have emails, and we have future meetings. Okay. The idea of the energy decompression center, that nothing physical can go up into the spiritual dimension. So Moshe stays there for 7 days. And something happens to him, and then he's transported into the spiritual dimension. It's very interesting. Okay, so those words are associative to that kind of thing, that in this world, up until the Messianic age, any manifestation of godliness was covered, was filtered, was completely disguised in other garments. Avalatid v'nigla, but in the future it will be revealed. Yeh kavod migula, the glory will be revealed and apprehended mira, through a clear lens. There always has to be something between us. But if the clear lens, there's a whole tradition about clear lens is the only lens that stood between Moses and what he saw. All the other prophets had anywhere between 2 and 9. There's altogether 10 lenses. The darker ones are like sunglasses and also even darker, but they saw in dream images. The less opaque, the clearer, it's called the clearer lens. And then eventually it's just seeing through completely a clear glass. Or again, glass is a metaphor also. It's seeing through the last and most finest filter of our own consciousness. When that's taken away, one of the reasons Moshe is told you can't see me and live. What's the verse? Lo yir'ani ha'adam b'chai. No man can see me and still maintain physical existence because it's too strong. We've spoken about around Shavuot, and when Hashem spoke, our souls were magnetized up, and then He brought them down. And then when He spoke again, we went up and down, up and down, because every time the power got too high, then the body can't maintain the soul. So He wants us to be able to maintain, after an experience like that, when we are taken out of our body, He wants us to come back into our body with a new awareness of what the physical world is. It's like Judaism is very much a don't leave the world system. Yes, it's good to go up and inside to the higher levels of your own being, but really what the whole thing is about is to connect down into this world with that awareness and to operate and to function and to manifest here with that. Because that's number one.
He says here, nearer Baskutaria. We all. It will be seen.
The form of the verb is megula. V'yeh hakavod megula b'nir'ah.
So it's saying we will all be.
The glory will be revealed and seen.
Yes.
Through a clear lens.
To whom?
To us.
So we'll all be seeing at the level of Moshe Rabbeinu?
Yes. That's just there'll be stages. That's what we're trying to say. I'm not doing it very well, but what we want to go to is where it's all going, and then to work backwards.
It doesn't say,
We'll get there
say it yet.
Doesn't say it yet.
It doesn't say it yet.
No, he has a lot to say here.
So we see clearly that it's the end of the Chafshit to me.
As I said last week, there are those who say that free will ends when physical reality ends as we know it. I disagree. There will always be free will, but it won't be the kind of free will that we have, which is predicated on God's hiding. Then I can do something and I don't have any idea of its ramifications. But now when I will have ideas of what the ramifications of an action are, then I won't be able to do it because, right, I'll see. No, there'll still be higher and higher levels of free will. In my humble opinion, that's how I see it. I think free will is the ability of every creature to serve God to the best of its ability, wherever that creature is, whatever dimension we're going to be in. So it's not fair to say, like I feel many people do, that it'll be over, there'll be no more free will. What they mean to say, again, is you better use your free will to the extent possible while you're here. Start the motor, use it. Don't have that ice cream when you have a struggle with yourself between two things. Have some self-mastery, because self-mastery is what's going to make you, it's what's going to allow you to exist in eternity. If not, then you're just a passive. You don't have any. You haven't built anything. You need to have a core of your being that is you, and you have to work for that. Again, whatever I'm saying is like, yeah. What did you want to say?
I was just thinking, Bilam could speak to Hashem in greater than Moshe would say, maybe, and
No, not greater than Moshe. It was a different thing altogether. Bilam was different than Moshe.
He speaks Hashem and know about Hashem. And
He heard Hashem speaking to him.
And yet he had free will. His free will wasn't taken away by having his experience by Hashem.
Fine. All these things need to be gone into, and that's just one aspect. You can say that Bilam had free will, even though God spoke to him, but again, that might not be a good proof because we don't want to use Bilam as an example. He wasn't the highest.
I thought it was Homer.
Okay.
Do you know what see me and live, what level we're talking about? No.
What?
What level Hashem was saying you can't see me and live, what level that was? We don't really talk about.
Lo yir'ani adam b'chai. No man can see me and still maintain physical existence.
So the 50th level.
And you're asking what level are we talking about? Daniel, you and I have to talk. I mean, I don't know an answer, but we have all these answers around us, but we have to be in a place where we can do that. Okay?
Don't we say the 50th level of Bina?
What?
Don't we say that's the 50th level of Bina that he actually achieved, and then after that?
Could be, like Baruch is saying, could be what's called the 50 levels of Bina, and he was able to get 49. There's a verse in Psalm, you made him a little bit less than God. Whatever, it's a something we can talk about. B, Third line from the top of the paragraph that we're in. Fourth word, B, beit. Ad ata, until now. And the Malbim is stepping into the future and saying, until now, lo hisigu rak kavod Elohim, we only grasped, even those who did grasp something, they grasped what's called kavod Elohim, the glory of Elohim. Those two words for God. There's two main names of God, is Elohim and Yud Kei Vav Kei, Havaya. So he's going to now go into the difference. Shehu ha'anhaga, shebo manhig, u'misader, u'mashgiach. It's the mode of divine providence. A hanhaga is a modality of divine providence through which God governs, orders, and oversees everything that happens. Shehu miyucheset l'shem Elohim. It is usually associated with the three names Elohim, O Shaddai, O Tzevaot. Just let me finish the sentence and I'll explain what the main thing we need to get here. Lo kavod Hashem. Nobody except very few were able to get kavod Hashem, the glory of the Havaya, the glory of Yud Kei Vav Kei, Shu Shem Ha'etzem, which is the essence, the essential name of God, Hamoreh al Kavodo Mitzad Atzmo Umahuto, which relative to this lower level is something like who God really is. Even that's relative. But relative to Elohim, it's more like this is who you really are, as opposed to what you dress up in order to reveal yourself at the lower levels. We're going to take off all the lower level clothes and see you as you really were. But again, even that's relative. Kavodo mitzad atzmo mahuto, as it says in the verse, Va'er'eh el ha'avot be'el Shaddai, Ushmi Adonai lo nadati lahem. It says in the beginning of the book of Exodus, I revealed myself to the patriarchs through the name El Shaddai, but my name, Havaya, Yud Kei Vav Kei, I did not make known to them. So that's like, again, a little bit too much for us to go into the inside level, but it's just that there's an example of, again, or becoming, through many, many stages, becoming or. Or as light becomes or as skin. But in between, there are places where you can actually get more of the light, but you're still within a world of skin. You're still within your own subjective consciousness. Aval az, but then, in the future, Yitra'eh kavod Hashem v'yida'uhu. The glory of Hashem will be revealed, and we will know it, or they will know it, but really we will know it. Gimel, ad ata, until now, lo ra'u, rak hasigu v'yadu. Until now, we didn't see. We conceptualized. We knew in our mind. Lo ra'u kavod Hashem. We didn't see the glory of God. B'hasagat ha'ain hachushi, with our physical eyes. Aval ata, but now, ain ba'ain yir'u. So in my little thing, I made a note. I see that I didn't make it in the printed text, but it's two verses in Exodus chapter 24. It's two verses in Isaiah 52. Isaiah 52, verses 8 and 9. And 9 is the one that we want more. It says, Kol tzofayach nas'u kol. All of your prophets raised their voice yachdav, together. Will raise their voice together. They will raise their voice together. Yuraninu, yachdav yuranu, together they will sing. Together they will go into an ecstatic state. Ki ayin be'ayin yir'u b'shuv Adonai Tzion. For eye to eye, they will see the return of God to Zion. So that is what he's basing himself on. I'm going to give you, this is what I did. This is a one-pager, which is two-sided, so it can be passed out quickly. Well, I gave too many to you, but the last one is Yeah, you'll have to come full circle around to the men. Yeah.
Would it be, is he really saying here in Bob in that, like, it's actually the eyes are going to change.
Yes.
The physical eyes will change the capacity to perceive godliness.
Beautiful.
Our physical
The
eyes.
physical eyes will change. Our capacity to see will change. Our perceptual apparatus will change. Our brain will change. It's going to go a lot. So at the bottom of side B, if there's not enough, just share. The bottom of side B, it looks like this. It has 2 verses in Hebrew. There's one, it's 2-sided. Okay, so the bottom half of the page with the 2 Hebrew verses on it. The first verse is the one that we're on. The Nigla Kavod Adonai V'ra'u Kol Basar Yachdav Ki Pi Adonai Diber. The glory of Hashem will be revealed, and all flesh together will see that the mouth of Hashem has spoken. And then the second verse that we just did, Ki Ein B'Ein Yer'u B'Shu Adonai Tzion. For eye to eye they will see Hashem's return to Tzion. All flesh together will see eye to eye. Actually, Ein B'Ein, literally eye in eye. God's eye in our eye. God's vision opening up within our vision and expanding our vision. A complete transformation of consciousness. In other words, you don't, when you're reading a prophetic verse, what we've learned in the last 2 weeks is you have to allow it to resonate inside of you. So eye to eye is not literal. It's more eye in eye. Oh, what does that mean? What does it mean, one eye in another eye? Right? Not only will select individuals see, which is the Malbim is about to get to, in which we've already spoken about in the Ramchal, but all mankind and every species of animal will see reality with and through God's eyes. Not only prophetic dreams and prophetic visions, but with our physical eyes we will see and experience the spiritual or energetic reality behind physical reality. See all this and more in Malbim's thing that we're in the middle of now. Exactly as the children of Israel experienced at the Red Sea, and even more powerfully at Sinai, the divine, spiritual, light energy level that transcends our physical world. Will be revealed to us. Right? Just as we did at Sinai, the light that was revealed to us then will be revealed to us again at the end of history, the Sinai of history, as I call it. And the surprise is that in order for this to happen and to become a reality, reality itself will not have to change an iota. The world won't change. Our consciousness will change. The reality of God's oneness that is presently hidden from our physical eyes will not change. We will change. We will all experience a powerful inner transformation. All mankind, a qualitative transformation of consciousness. This is the meaning of all flesh together will see the glory of Hashem, putting the 2 verses together, eye to eye. So it's a meditation. I want you to kind of just feel that for a second on your own. God's eye in your eye. Meaning to say, a whole new level of seeing our lives. And it starts at the bottom with the way we see our lives right now, the way we feel our lives and what's going on in our lives, the difficulties, the circumstances that we find ourselves in. And to know that those circumstances are being given to each one of us and collectively been given to all of us. And what is allowing us to move through this reality that we live in is the Spirit of Hashem. It brought us to Yerushalayim. It will fly you out of Yerushalayim also, but it'll help you to keep Yerushalayim in your heart, even if you do have to leave physically. Yerushalayim is not just a physical presence. So, the building, the Beit HaMikdash, it's not there physically, but it's there with X-ray eyes. All of creation is yearning for this moment of this transition that we're at the moment of going into it. Whatever forces are going to try and stop it from happening, whatever contra forces that Hashem has created, and the world. You, through your life, me in my life, you in your life, the way you interact with others, the way you interact with physical objects, your awareness level, your emotional reactions to things that happen. Be aware of them. Be aware that you live within a subjective world of ideas and concepts that when you come to Yerushalayim, it's time to now clean them and to see things differently. Wish I could say it even better, but whatever. I think I ever like to speak for all of us. Who am I? But we all came here. Right? We came here. Hashem brought us here. However long, for however short, to meet each other on some deeper level, that soul level. We all came down from Shemayim in order to meet each other here. And our initial meetings with each other are that we don't remember that we're from Shemayim, and we don't remember having known each other, unless we maybe call it a deja vu or whatever. Oh, we knew each other on Sinai. But really, the real deeper level is that we were all souls up in Shemayim, and we were all told why we were coming down this time and what we would need to do. And then in the meantime, that we would go into a deep state of amnesia and we would not remember what we need to do. But that things would happen to us as our lives progressed, and that things would happen to us that would allow us, if we really wanted to come into an awakened or a more of an awakened state.
You spoke before about this clarity, about having this allure. You tell me things like that. I just know for me, I will get an impulse, and I'm so sure it's the right thing. And I might think it through, and I feel like if God's telling me I should move to Jerusalem. And then I spend the next 11 years banging myself in the head. Should I do the right thing? Should I live with my family? Should I still be working? I mean, it's not clear. It's not like, I know for sure this is really what I ought to be doing. And I'm not talking in terms of desire. Desire, I understand very well. I desire to be here. But is it really the right thing for me? Is it the right thing for the world? Is it what God wants me? I want a red light, green light.
I don't know if anybody in this room or anybody who's going to be listening to this who has red lights or green lights. They're in the middle. And that's what this world is about, is this narrow passage that we have to pass through. But praying and asking and making specific requests for clarity about what I need to do and what's going on and what I can do to help that person and what I can do to help myself. And my answer to one person yesterday was that they wanted to help their son, but in the meantime they got involved with somebody who said that they could help their son, who could introduce them to a third person. But then they asked so many questions and have so many doubts that the second person got so upset at them and said, I don't want to hear from you again. And this is a person they know a long time. So now, in order to be able, they can't go straight to the third person because the second person's ego has gotten in the way. And then also she has an union with her own husband. So she has to deal with her husband and how he's dealing with this whole thing, have to deal with the person who is in the middle, and have to deal with the person that they haven't even gotten to yet that they want to get to. I said you have to deal with all three. It is clear that everything that's coming in your way means that you need to deal with your own emotional and psychological state of how you're going to deal with this. If you're upset about having to call this middle person and that he or she's going to get down on you, say, rehearse what you're going to say beforehand. I really am sorry. I really am sorry for taking your time, but it's really important to me to clear this with you. We want to do clearings with each other. Tomorrow morning I'm going to a workshop called Well of Being. It's a play on words. It's well-being, but it's a well, right? It's something I've been involved with in different names called the Shofar for 15 years. And it's a place to learn how to clear our relationships and clear our inside levels also. And the men who will come into it who have never been there before, and there'll be a few of us who have done it before and who can help be there with them and go through their process with them. It's powerful. It's enormous. We all need something we can go to that's not therapy, but just tools that we all need to be able to come to the higher level of our own being. We're going to finish the Malbim with your permission. I mean, that's all I want to do. And it may be just a little bit too much. So if it is, we'll stop. But we're on number 4. And if it's too hard, we'll skip it. We'll talk more. But it's Dalet. The Dalet is at the end of the line, but what's going to be Dalet is starting in the next line called Ad Ata, till now. Gam Horoim Behatzofim, all those seers and prophets, they saw b'machazot Elohim, they saw in unclear visions. Lo ra'u ba'ain basar, they did not see with their eye of their flesh. Rak be'ein hanefesh, be'ein hanevu'i, they saw with the eye of their soul, and the eye of prophecy. Aval ata, but now, when we jump into the future, yir'u kol basar, all flesh will see. Gama basar be'eino yir'eh, even the fleshly eye, or whatever, how you want to translate it, the eye in its fleshliness, whatever, Yir'eh hamar'eh hanora'ah, will see the awesome appearance. Mar'eh is also a vision, but here he means it more that it's just going to come right in front of us. Mikavod Hashem v'hitgalut Elohuto, of the glory of Hashem and the revelation of his divinity. So again, Hebrew, the words, how they work, and do we really get it? What he's trying to build up here are these 6 things are going to be characteristic, or going to characterize a major shift in consciousness. And if you got that, then that's the main thing. And the next thing he's going to say is it's not going to just be individuals like in the past. It's going to be every single human being. And as I said, it's going to come through Mashiach and his wife, and then through Am Yisrael, and then it'll be painful for some and less painful for others. And then it'll go to all of mankind. It'll be a flow that will come down to every single creature on the planet, because the whole world has to go through its change. That's the dream of Judaism. That's the prophetic dream, that this world is a fallen world, and that it's a fallen world on purpose. We're partly responsible, but it's really Hashem's doing. He put us into this world so we could learn things that we wouldn't be able to learn in a million eternities in heaven. This is the school. This is the school of hard knocks. But when you start to get the transformative moments, and you see that everything you've gone through, and all the pain that you've had, and all the dysfunctionality in your family or whatever, and all the wrong turns you made, were all part of a larger plan. They're all part of something that was guiding you. That God's hand was in your life, was in my life, was in all of our lives before we were aware of it. And now the process is to become aware of that hand and the heart behind it, and the mind and the eyes behind it. And it's not going to be just a few of us, it's going to be all of us. It could be that those of us who worked for it and who practiced and who desired it, that we'll see it sooner. We'll get it. We'll be able to help others. Whatever the case, it's not that the work that you're doing now is for naught, and that what do I have to do the work for if it's going to come anyway? Like, you get why that's not a good question, right?
You have to be the tool. You have to be the K-lead to be able to take it.
Right. An athlete who works hard to get that ability to run, that ability to do things. That artist who works hard, who has 1,000 paintings, and then that 1,001th painting, that building of that builder. You can't make your best building on your first or your second or your third. There's no way. You're nothing. You look back after your 100th building, you say, I didn't know a thing when I was building those buildings. So that has to be the model that we're using here, that the reason that the coach is so tough on us is because he wants us to get to the absolute maximum of what he wants to give us. That's number 5. Number 6 is this Vav. I skipped over the 5 in the words, but 6 is Vav. Until now, lo ra'u kulam b'madriga achat. It's a little bit different. 5 is that it'll be everybody, and it'll be right. But what is this? A certain, like, almost like a sub thing within, is that until now, not everybody saw on the same level. Like, it brings a verse from chapter 24 of the book of Exodus, where it says that, I'll read you chapter 1, verse 1 and verse 2 of chapter 24, which I have on the side in my notes. It says, And to Moshe he said, ascend to Hashem. Hashem speaking very often will say, ascend to Hashem. It's a little bit hard in English. Ascend to Hashem, you and Aaron and Nadav and Avihu and the 70 elders of Israel, and you will bow from a distance. That's one verse, chapter 24, verse 1. Verse 2, V'nigash Moshe, and Moshe approached, Livado, alone, El Hashem, to God. V'hem lo yigashu, they didn't. The others who were mentioned in the first verse did not approach. V'ha'am lo ya'alu imo, and the people down at the bottom of the mountain did not come up. So we have a whole idea of mechitzot. There were different levels at Sinai. He who was more capable went up higher. He was not, was down below. They all had the same collective experience, but the level at which you stood determined how much you can handle it. So what the Malbim says is, Shemadrigat Moshe haya hagasha. Moshe's level was approach, something where you got very close. The Zakanim, the elders, Aliyah, they ascended. The Am was less than this. But in the future, Vera'u kol basar yachdav, all flesh together will see, all completely one shared collective experience. That's what I wanted to share today. This other stuff here is a gift from me, the elevation of our reality, where the Kabbalistic text from the Leshem goes beyond and using the prophetic text and goes beyond and using the Kabbalistic system of going from Asiya to Yitzira, that reality is going to go up, all of physical reality, Asiya is going to be fold up its bags and take its luggage up to Yitzira, and then both of them are going to go up to Bria, and then all three of them are going to go up to Asilu. What does that mean? Just to see the words, how he uses them, and then if you ever want to talk to me and ask me, how do we understand this, I can try and help. But it's very important sometimes to read texts, to see how words are used and how they thought, and then to kind of imbibe them first, to get them inside of you, and then we can start to talk about what they mean. Right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are still fasting, and we're going to. We have a minyan of men, and we can take sidurim and go outside and pray, and in the meantime, the women can pray in here and set up some food also.
I said not.
No, not food, but there's like some drinks and simple things. As long as it's simple and it's no chance that anything will spill, or at least to the best of our ability. And if Judy is here, you're all working together, so it can happen. Okay, basically you can break the fast at 8:14, probably better at 8:18, but you're okay at 8:14. All right. 8:08 is, so there's 3 levels. Okay, and if it's hard for you, drink some air water in the meantime. All right, we're going outside the daven.
People should pay now.
Pay now
And sign in too, so we know who you are.
and give me back my
Chase you.
just these. Give these back.
Sign in and pay up.
Deciding those who have not signed before the, sign those who are coming on a regular basis, who have their name.
So as Talia just said, the sign up is mostly for those who have not given us their emails yet.
30 shekels, please.
I put a check for 2 tubs, and then grab it, but never coming in.
Okay, anybody who doesn't have a sitter, there's some here and we can pass them out.
Donations, 3,000 shekels.
30 shekels.
Whatever it is, like, the assumption is always like.
Yibane Beit HaMikdash, b'mehera b'yameinu. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Tishbi, Eliyahu Hagidli.